What's the story, guys? This is Heritage here. Just wanted to do a short video on the news that dropped last night on Cosmic Book News in relation to Dan DiDio's departure from DC Comics. The article is by Matt McGloin and it expands on the rumours that we've been hearing. As we've seen, it seems to confirm that he was actually sacked, which, as your boy Zach will point out, in this industry is a very rare event because usually most people quit during the weekday for no reason whatsoever whilst in tears. So the fact that it's so blatant that Dan DiDio was just brought in and basically sacked by the board guys of AT&T illustrates just how extreme things have got. From what it seems to be is that he's been butting heads with creatives and editorial in DC. Scott Snyder in particular has got name checked here in relation to how Batman was going to be rejigged in the new 5G era, that they're supposed to be the big event for DC this year. This is an event that, for those of us who are comic book fans, makes no sense whatsoever because it's practically a carbon copy of what Marvel did back around 2014, 2015 with All New, All Different, where they essentially replaced all the Marvel characters with, well, it's essentially diversity horse, let's be honest. This is how you end up with 16-year-old black Iron Man, who's a girl. This is how you end up with feminist Thor. This is how you end up with Asian Hulk. You know, and the thing that really annoyed a lot of people was the fact that it was across the board. It was just a complete clean slate of all the old characters to bring in these new vision of where Marvel was supposed to go. And it was another disaster. Nobody liked it. Sales tanked. And they had to reverse the decision in a couple of years' time. So you can understand why people are looking at things saying, why in the name of God would you be trying to replicate something that you know has failed? But what's really interesting here is that it looked like somebody in AT&T actually seemed to have their eye on the ball, because one of the biggest failings Marvel had with All New, All Different was this was in the midst of when the MCU was really taking off. So you've got billion-dollar franchises being built up. You've got hundreds of millions being made in films like Thor and Captain America and Iron Man. You've got potentially hundreds of millions of new readers that'll come into a comic shop who really enjoyed those films. But when they were going in, let's say after Captain America Winter Soldier, what they were finding was Secret Empire. Was that Captain America was now a Nazi. You know, like Captain America in the comic book was the Falcon. You know, like, which completely would throw anybody who was coming into these stores based on what they've seen in the cinema. Ditto for the Hulk, ditto for Iron Man, ditto for Thor. So I can understand now why there's somebody in AT&T who seem to want to spin these characters out as IPs more than anything else. They want to view Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman as things they can sell as apparel, things they can sell as cartoons and movies. And they don't want to make the same mistake that Marvel did by having all their comic books not reflect what's on the silver screen. Moreover, AT&T seem to be taking the approach that they don't actually need DC Comics, that they might actually shut down the section altogether and to just license out the properties. So this is where the crux of the story comes in now. It's now looking like Marvel Comics could end up producing DC Comics under the auspices of Kevin Feige, who is now in charge of Marvel's publishing. This is a potentially seismic readjustment of the comic book market, because you've basically got the two biggest competitors uniting under one umbrella. Even though technically they're still separate, you're talking about the creative teams being able to interact. What's more, they're talking about relying on Hollywood talent and televisual talent as opposed to comic book talent. So all the guys who've been in there for the last couple of years that have been basically boring us witless with incredibly dull storylines are going to be replaced by people like, say, James Gunn, who might be able to come in and write a comic book. You could see Berlanti back into the DC field, writing comic books for the DCs. Moreover, you're probably going to have a good potential down the road for an actual Marvel-DC crossover, which, if my memory serves, hadn't been done since the amalgam days. And there is precedent for such a thing. Marvel Comics, for instance, has been licensing out some of its characters to IDW, generally to try and produce kiddie-friendly books. So I think they've done it for like Avengers and Spider-Man. Now, they haven't been a great hit because, well, it's IDW. These guys are slitting their wrists. Financially speaking, for the last 5 years, they don't seem to be able to produce any kind of comic book that's worth a damn. But the principal point remains that you could actually still do this. So there could be a situation where DC properties will be just licensed out to other companies, maybe even other individuals. Either way, if this is true, it's massive news and it's a major shake-up. So I just wanted to do a short video on this just to give you my thoughts on it now, because I think it's pretty incredible, to be honest with you. It does look like it's killed the 5G thing stone dead, which was supposed to be the 5th generation of the DC characters, where they basically race swap and gender swap everyone just to, for God knows what reason. Like I said, it didn't work with Marvel, and I don't think it's going to work with here. And as we've seen the guys in, even like corporate suits up in AT&T, see that the synergy doesn't work out. So how people who've got decades experience in the comic book industry can't say it is beyond me. So at least that aspect of it seems to be killed stone dead. If it is goes ahead at all, it'll probably just a one-off summer event, just to tie up whatever can't be avoided. But yeah, there you go. That's the news anyway. If it's true, biggest single realignment in comic books in decades. And it'll be a major shake-up for the industry. So there you go, lads. If you like this video, like and subscribe. Leave a comment on what you think about what is going on in it. And take it out. See you all later. Take care.